Good morning, everybody. It's about 7:30 in the morning, and it's July 18th today. And I don't know if you can see, but I've got these old-fashioned sprinklers going in the big garden here. This is a wood chip garden. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I'm a fan. This is the first time I've had to water this year. And I probably really don't even need to be watering now, but it's supposed to be super hot for the next bunch of days. So I thought I'll go ahead and get some deep watering in. But really when I dig down into the soil, it's still pretty, well, it's moist. It's not wet, but anyway, I wanted to do a little container gardening update here. Show you around the containers, see what's going on this beautiful morning. So I've come to realize that small containers aren't worth the time. Yeah, you can get some growth in them, but for the most part, the containers kind of self-limit the size of the veg you're going to get. And you have to water them at least twice a day. And look how small they are compared to the bigger guys in the ground. So the small containers just aren't worth it. But the larger containers, so for like the cabbage here, let's see, check this out. I mean, look at this cabbage head. That's a nice, tight head. Got a few of them coming along. That one's a little young yet, but there's one coming along in there, over there. So these are doing better than the ones in the ground. And I think it's primarily because I'm keeping them away from the slugs being in these containers up off the ground. But let's walk over to our alternative containers and take a look at these. Whew, let's not get wet. Ah, crap. Make it quick. The box is doing all right. It's actually holding up pretty good. The squash seems to like it in here. The plant is growing, and actually we've got growth along the fence. Not too bad. The wine bag, it's got fruit on it. Well, veg, it's got a squash, but you know what I mean. Actually, it's got seeds inside, so it's a fruit, right? This little one's got good blooms. And then the larger containers, they're doing all right with the tomatoes in them. But again, the smaller squash and the smaller containers, they're just not the happiest little guys in the world. So, yeah, I'm thinking the small 1 gallon-ish, 2 gallon containers, they're not worth it. If you can't get it, start with a 5 gallon, I don't think it's worth your time. So let's run over here. I got a mole. Usually we have gophers and voles. Voles were coming up underneath my cucumbers, getting them from the bottom side and running away. Uh-oh. Ah! Stand back for a second. Not get rained on. Rained on. That's funny. Oop. Let that go forward. And we'll follow it out too. A couple other things to look at. I'm going to zoom past here. Ruth Stout Garden. Have not watered this yet this year either. Don't think I'm going to because it's still nice and moist in there. Better move before I get caught in the back. Oak. Try to get some oak trees going because I've got the big oaks and they dropped so many seeds this year. Put some in there, acorns. The urine test pots. This is, geez, it's asparagus. Started by seed. I couldn't even remember what that was. Hot peppers in small pots. I want to transplant those soon. I had some green peppers in the house, organic green peppers. I took the seeds out and put them in a pot, and behold, got a bunch of pots. Neighbor moved into the house down the street, planted a whole bunch of stuff out front, had these pots sitting out there for a while, went down and asked, and she was happy to give them to us. Well, this is interesting. I just planted my pile of dirt. In case you didn't have a pot, you could just plant directly in a pile of dirt. And frankly, these guys are doing the best in the whole yard. My onions are doing great. I planted them super late, but they're doing awesome. And then all these squash, I mean, look at those. It gets watered by, yeah, that sprinkler head right there in the morning. But I pay the least attention to it, and it's doing by far the best work. Interesting. So I've got these big, huge containers that have my mammoth pumpkins growing in them. However, I have now learned that I have squirrels living in this wood pile, and they like to eat the veg off my pumpkins. And look, they're just taking the rind off that one slowly. So I don't know if this is going to work out. Maybe it'll only work on the ones going through the grass, but on the fence over here, they're doing pretty good. So that's it for this side of the house. Let's go over toward the other side. Okay, now we're on the back porch. And you may recall I've got these old washing basins. They're the old concrete ones that your grandma might have had in the basement. And it's got a split between it, and you would drain your washing machine into one side and hand wash in the other. Look at those tomatoes. They're loving it in there. And then we've got stock tanks here. Here I've got a combination of chives and asparagus that's starting. The seeds look amazingly similar when they're tiny, and I mixed them up and planted them in there, but we're gonna just let it go and see what happens. And my tomatoes are going hog wild. We just got through with some construction here in the backyard yesterday, so these were basically off limits to me. I haven't been able to do anything but kind of water them from a distance, so I need to get everybody standing back up again. But I mean, look how well the tomatoes intermixed with tomatillos, and then sunflowers, and they're all just living happy in here. And my adult asparagus are in this bed. Here's one of them. The season for me is over, so now they're sharing the bed with all these other plants, and I guess it's succession planting, so it's working. Here are my above ground beds, but I don't know, I don't really consider these pots. My radish seeds are about ready to actually be seeds, but they're still these pods. Seeds are in there. When it dries, we'll be able to collect them, but they're good. You can eat them. Put them in a stir fry. Yum. Hot peppers. Remember that garlic that was in there? Took that out, put in a bunch of tomatoes. Alright, but we're here to talk about pots, so got some more tomatoes over here. Tomato. They're doing good. These bigger pots. Tomatillo, tomatillo, tomatillo. Really, really good. Potatoes getting ready to get harvested. Look at those, they're all dying back. A friend of mine called me the other day. Wanted to know when you harvest potatoes because she was getting mixed information. So you harvest potatoes when the top starts to die back. Really, I mean, anytime after they start growing, you can dig them up and eat them. If you don't disturb the whole plant, you can just dig out a couple if you want just a couple for dinner. And then pull them, when the tops die back. So that's about ready to go, I think. Sorry for the quick spin. We're going to go up and look at these pots. It was the year of the experimental growth in pots. Squash, bigger pots, up to 5 gallon. You can see like this one on the end here. Has a nice little growth in it, but overall in the ground I think is best. But you can grow good enough in the larger pots. That's a zucchini plant. I've harvested zucchini off this 3 times now, and that smaller one a couple times. And then these bigger, that's like a delicata, so that's going to come later. And then a small pumpkin. Let's go down blinding and go look at the runner beans. So while we're coming down to look at the runner beans, let me just give you my overall thinking about the pots. Bigger pots definitely work. Cheapo grocery bags work. Cardboard boxes work. Several people had suggested I line the box with plastic. Thank you, Uncle Al and Hooples. If I was seriously growing in a cardboard container, I definitely would have done that. But I didn't because I wanted to see if it would hold up, and it's holding up. I think it'll hold the whole season, but we'll see. Alright, so I think the bigger pots are the way to go. Even the big ones like this. Again, I think we're 5-10 gallon. I still need to water these at least once a day, and the small ones I'm watering 2 or 3 times a day. And it really hasn't been that hot here yet. So you can grow runner beans in the pots. Let's get out of the blinding sun. So, aren't they beautiful? Oh, dropped a bud in my hand. Some beans are starting right here. And yeah, it's growing along the fence, which is gorgeous. That's what I want. I want it to grow all the way down it. And then we've got the tomato plants here doing pretty well. And they're growing along down that way. So yeah, overall, I think the pots were a success in growing directly in the dirt, like a mound of dirt. And in the stock tanks, all that has been a success. So the only thing I would caution against is the small containers. Unless you have the ability to really kick back and water them a couple times a day, it's not worth your time. And the big ones have to be watered at least once a day and taken no days off. If you do, they'll just kind of fall over and bite the dust. So there you have it. Marion berries. Woohoo! Season's coming. Almost here, a little early this year. So anyway, let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks for watching.